Hi, I'm Brian for the Lincolnwood Library, and later Kate will be joining me. Today we are presenting Genealogy Club, and we are going to go over a great resource for finding genealogy and family history information called Google Books. Google Books is a public website that you can get to on any device. So I'm here on my Windows computer. I can use Firefox or Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge. You might also have Internet Explorer or Apple Safari. I'm going to use Firefox, and in the top address bar, I simply type books.google.com to get to Google Books. And Kate is going to present a whole bunch more on how to use this in your genealogy research.
It's a very large digital library of books, magazines, and newspapers. Google Books contains thousands of family histories and other genealogy-related books for free, including county histories, state histories, legal guides, so learning about the development of different documents that your family or your ancestors would have created within the courts or the legal system. It also includes some biographies of people and military histories. It really contains a whole wide variety of books. So types of genealogy books on Google Books. These are a few categories of books that I've been able to find on Google Books, which I found very useful in my research. So the first is family histories. So these are some of the most common books that you can use for your genealogy research that you can find on Google Books. Just a tip, like a little genealogy tip, is regardless of where you find a family history book, not all family history books are well sourced. So make sure that when you're looking at these family histories in books, if they don't have sources attached to the facts or the biographical information that is presented in those books, that you use them more as clues to direct your research. And if you find information through other sources, then you can confirm the information in that book was correct. It's, as everything with genealogy, having more sources is always better than having no sources. And family history books are not primary sources, they're secondary. They're written after the events occurred. So they're based on primary documents like birth certificates or letters passed in the family and things like that. So you'll want to find some primary source material before you completely trust a family history book. Okay. So another kind of genealogy book that is useful on Google Books are county histories. A lot of states in the Victorian era, in the United States especially, from about like 1860 to mid-1910s, a lot of counties wanted to write down their histories and document the formation of their communities. And a lot of these books are public domain. So you can view them completely free and actually download PDFs or download copies of them on your personal device on Google Books. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. But these county histories will not only contain, the timeline of the county formation and timelines of the villages or cities in that county forming, but often they'll include biographical excerpts about prominent members of the county, and those can be very useful when you're studying your family history. Sometimes you'll find an entire page written on a great uncle or something, and within that page you can find information about his parents, which are a direct ancestor of yours. So county history books are very useful, and there's lots of them on Google Books. Another kind of book that's on Google Books are city directories. So these can be useful if you want to figure out where your relative lived during a time. Looking up their address. That often city directories would include employment information, so what occupation the person had, and sometimes even what company they were employed by. Another type of book on Google Books are church histories. So if your ancestor or family member was a member of a church, often these churches, like the counties, they wanted to preserve their history. So they wrote a book about it. And so if they were a prominent member of the church or on any sort of board or in a choir for a long time, you might be able to even find photos of them in these church histories. If not, their names mentioned and what the ongoings of the church during that time were like. And since churches and religion played a big role in many people's lives, especially in the early 1900s and late 1800s, when these when these books were being written, understanding what life was like in that church during that time would help you understand what your ancestor family members' life was like. And Google Books does include some histories on prominent synagogues. It really just depends on if the synagogue or the church wrote something and if it's in public domain currently. Then, yeah. So another kind of book on Google Books that I find very useful are statute books. And these are books that help you understand the law for a place and specific time where your ancestor lived. So if I wanted to figure out what the law on taverns was in Cook County, Illinois, there might be a statute book from Cook County that would contain information about that law. So statute books also helps you interpret the legal documents your family or ancestors created. So if somebody owned a tavern, then perhaps they had to submit a bunch of paperwork in order to get a certificate of approval for an alcohol law. And it also it'll help you interpret every vital records, like what was included on a birth certificate and why, and other legal documents and that sort of nature. The last kind of book that I have lots of fun with on Google Books are vintage cookbooks. I always find it really fun and insightful to look at old cookbooks and from a specific time, and sometimes it can be broken down in specific regions like state or even towns. I found a couple cookbooks from Fort Wayne, Indiana in the 1920s, and I had ancestors who lived there during that time, and it's sort of fun to get a glimpse at what kind of food people were making and what they liked eating, what were the popular dishes during these years. It just gives you more of a glimpse into what the everyday life of your ancestor or family member would have been. So how to find books on Google Books. So the first step is to go to the Google Books homepage, and that web address is www.books.google.com. And when you type that into the bar at the top of your browser, you'll come to a page that looks like this. And there's a search bar that you can type in your search terms into. So step 2 would be type in your search terms and press the magnifying glass icon to the right of the search bar, or press the enter key on your keyboard. In this case, I wanted to see if there were any family histories published on the Wilcox family of Rhode Island and New York, as I'm a descendant of them. And I was interested to see. So I typed in Wilcox family history, and then you'll be greeted with a result page that looks like this. Of course, if I scroll down on the page, there will be more entries. So the results page returned 3 books at the very top, and the first one was Family History, The Coates, Wilcox, and Teach Out Families by Jean Elliott Snow, which was published in 1901. So a side note that's very useful when you're doing genealogy research is that all published works before 1923 in the United States are in the public domain. So that means you can freely access them and most likely get a PDF copy of it that you can download onto your personal device and print out even if you want a physical copy to look at. On the results page, you can see that there's a few different tools underneath the search bar and then underneath the all new shopping images, books, etc. There's 4 drop-down tabs, and you can click on those to filter the results. So if I click down on any document, I could potentially filter out newspaper articles in the results. If I click down on the drop-down tab for any time, that will let you adjust the publication date. So if I wanted only books that were printed in 1890 to 1905, then I would filter out all the other books and only get those results once I updated the search. So step 3 is to click through to access the book. When you're on the results page, you'll have 2 options that you can use to open the book. So the first one is just to click on the title of the book. That's a direct link. And then the second is to click on underneath the author, there's a read tab, and both will take you to the same place. It just opens the book up for you. And this is what it looks like when you open up a book. So there's a PDF image of the front cover right there, opened up on the screen, and you can scroll through the whole book that way. And there's also a toolbar at the very top next to the Google Books icon. So we'll go through how to use that icon, or that toolbar, sorry. So the first option you have is a drop-down menu right next to the logo. And when you click on that little down arrow, you get a drop-down menu that gives you different sections of the book that you can jump to. So these are sort of like chapters or sections or parts of the book that have been bookmarked behind the scenes that you can just jump back and forth through. The second option is, next on the right of that, is to search in this book. So you can type in a name or maybe a place or a date, and it will scan through the entire text, and it will give you a list of results of your search term within the book. On the right of that, there are left and right arrows, and that lets you turn the pages from left to right. And then to the right of that, there are zoom controls. So if the text is small or if it's too big, you can zoom in and out. On the right of the zoom controls, there's 3 different view choices that you have. You can choose to view a book as a 1-page view, which is how we were viewing it on the previous slide, or you can choose to view it as a 2-page view, so how you would view a book if you opened it up in your physical copy of a book, opened it up in your hands. And then you can also choose a thumbnail view, and that will just give you an overview of all the pages of the book scaled down so you can view it all at once. And then on the very right, there's an extension of the toolbar that's marked by these three circles. And if you click on that, you get the options to share the book. So you can email it to yourself or to somebody else. Embed is just a link that you can use to put it on a website if you have a website. You can choose to download this book, and clicking on download this book will download it directly to the download folder on your personal device as a PDF. So then you can open it and read it whenever you want. You can choose to share a clip. So that would allow you to select a specific page or part of a page, and then it gives you the ability to share it with a link or with an email. Find in library will open up a menu where you can search for this book in local libraries around you. So it's just a large multiple library catalog search. And then there's a help section where if you have any major questions in terms of service. And on the very right is an X, and that will exit the reading view. And when you exit the reading view, you get the overview page for the book. And this allows you to, again, open the reading view if you want, download the PDF, search through the book, or add it to your library on Google Books, which is basically a large bookshelf where you can shelve books that you have read or want to read. It also gives you the copyright and publication information on this page, as well as any other editions of this book that were published. So, are all books on Google Books available to read for free? Unfortunately, not all the books you find in your search are going to be free to read. The book that we just looked at was labeled as a read. It has the read button right underneath it. When you come across a book that just says read, that means the book is fully available to read for free. And you can sometimes even download the PDF copy of it. There's also books that are available in snippet view. So you can do a full text search within the book, and it will show you snippets of the pages that your search results appear on. However, you can't view the entire book for free, and it also won't let you view entire pages for free. There's books that are labeled preview books. So portions of the book are available for free to look at. However, other portions aren't. And you also cannot download the book for free. And no preview books are books that are in the Google Books catalog, but you can't view them. There's no digital copy of the book attached to it, but you can use that information to go to your library and ask the librarian to help you find a physical copy of the book. So that is my brief overview of Google Books. If you have any questions about it, let me know during the Q&A. And then our next Genealogy Club meeting will be on Wednesday, July 29th from 1 to 2, and that will be a long format lecture. And I will be talking about US military records. And so registration is open for that, and so don't forget to register. So now we'll start office hours. So if you have any questions, I can help you with any of your research questions or questions on Google Books or any sort of thing like that now.
Before we get to that, I just want to first thank everybody for attending today. And it's books.google.com. If you actually do www.books.google.com, it doesn't work. So just books.google.com. But otherwise, Kate did a great job going through Google Books. I recently helped a friend of mine research his heritage with Google Books. It's a fantastic source.